I paid $2,769 for these 8 broken handheld PCs just to see if I could fix them. I don't really know that much about handheld PCs, so this should be interesting. Let's get started with number 1. This video is sponsored by FlexiSpot, more on them in a minute. The first thing I'm going to do is see if we can diagnose what's wrong with all of these. Number 1 is missing this right controller, but also this left side controller just falls out, and the problem is these little studs right here are supposed to fit inside the tablet, and then the controller is supposed to connect to it. Obviously there's a problem with that here. Let's see if we can get that off. Doesn't want to come off either. Ah, there we go. We're just hitting on this little pin. Okay, and the controller itself I think is in okay condition. So this is the part we're gonna have to install back on here. So we'll worry about that later. I want to diagnose the rest of these and see what kind of repairs we have ahead of us. So that means moving on to number 2, this ROG Ally X, I believe. Let's see if it powers on. Here we go. All right, we have power. That's amazing. And oh, what do we have here? There's a line right down that screen. And administrator sign in. Your account has been disabled. I'm assuming we can fix that somehow. All right, so this one looks like it needs a new screen, and also we need to maybe just reinstall Windows on this, although I'm not sure how to do that. We'll figure that one out later. Let's see what's wrong with number 3. Oh, and number 2 randomly started up just fine, so we should be able to reset this thing and set up a new account pretty easily, I think. Now let's move to number 3. Number 3 is this Lenovo Legion. This looks like it's really good, in really good condition. Let's see if it starts up. And this one so far is just black. Oh, I think it's doing something, and maybe not. Oh, here we go. It is doing something. And for number 3, we've got it started up. I'm doing some tests on these controllers, and I don't see any problems with them. Everything else seems to be working fine on this one. So at least right now, we're gonna call number 3 no problems found. I'll do some more tests on this and do the fix on camera if there is anything, but right now, number 3 looks really good. So let's move to number 4. And number 4, the note on the back says it's missing the thumbstick cap. I'm kind of surprised that that's the only thing wrong with this. There might be something else, but it needs to charge before it'll turn on. So once we get to repairs, we'll replace that and then see if we can get this thing to turn on. For now, let's move to number 5. And number 5 is another ROG Ally. Let's plug this one in. Okay. But it also won't turn on, so we gotta get this one charged up and we can give it a test. Let's move to number 6. Okay, I actually did get number 5 to start up after I pressed the button again. I think this one just needs to be, yeah, it's at 1%. So, okay, BIOS. We might be missing an SSD in this one. Let's see what happens when we restart it. Yep, and it looks like no boot devices are there. So we need to install an SSD into this and then we can give it a test. But for now, we need to get this thing charged up. Let's move on to number 6. And for number 6, we have another Lenovo Legion Go, and we have power. This one did not come with controllers, so it is possible that that's all that's wrong with this one, but we got our tester controllers so we can give it a test and see if everything else works. This one's taking a long time to start up. Oh, there we go. Got it. Default boot device missing or boot failed. Okay. So did they may have removed the SSD out of this. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. Let's take a look at number 7.
Here at TronicsFix, from filming to editing, just about everything we do requires the use of a desk and chair. Nothing is worse than using equipment that is worn out, not meant for the job, or in some cases even unsafe. This is not the perfect amount of office equipment. That's why we're excited to tell you about today's sponsor, FlexiSpot. Long working time on computers can take a toll, but with the ability to shift to standing mode at the push of a button, I'm beginning to say goodbye to chronic back tightness. I really need a standing desk because when I sit all morning and film projects, my health demands that I don't also sit all afternoon while I edit that film. My favorite thing here are these really sturdy legs made out of automotive grade steel, providing a smooth, reliable, and stable working surface. It boasts an impressive weight capacity of 540 pounds, giving me all the confidence I need to give Loki free rides. The benefits cannot be overstated, and FlexiSpot is bringing it at a reasonable price with a 15-year warranty and free 30-day returns. Beyond the desk, we've also been trying out the C7 Max chair, and honestly, I'm not sure which I recommend more. The adaptive lumbar lumbar support in the C7 conforms to the spine when seated and can be set in the place that is just right for your back with no need to supply an additional cushion. One of my favorite features of the C7 is the armrests, with pads that rotate 360 degrees, perfect for finding that ideal supportive angle. In relaxation mode, the chair has a 4-level locking backrest with a maximum recline of 135 degrees. With the flexible lumbar support, 5 locking recline angles, dynamic headrest, 3D adjustable armrests, and even more, I have been amazed at the C7M's ability to meet my specific needs. But by accommodating heights from 5'7" to 6'9" and weights up to 300 pounds, it is suitable for a wide range of people. This is a high-value investment for the entire family. With a 30-day return policy and risk-free trial, 5-year warranty with direct replacement for damaged parts, and our provided code to get the best price, this is a life choice we here at TronicsFix are proud to recommend. Now is the best time to buy using this exclusive code for $50 off on their E7 Plus standing desk, and our exclusive code to enjoy a $30 discount on the C7 Max chair. So check them out.
And another Legion. This is number 7. Let's see what happens when we try to turn it on. Okay, we do get a power button light. It is red, I'm assuming. Oh, this one starts up quick. I'm assuming it needs charged. Okay, so I'm gonna let this get set up and test things and see what exactly is missing. This one did come with just a tablet, so it could be just that it's missing the controllers. So number 7, I do have all set up. It has to do an update, but other than that, I don't see any problems at all with number 7, other than I need to charge it. So I think this one is a no problems found. Let's move on to the last one, number 8. And number 8 is a broken Steam Deck. So what the seller of this Steam Deck told me is they bought it from a repair shop who didn't want to do the repair on it. So the seller bought it from them, they did the repair, and it sort of worked, but not fully, and so they had to redo it, but then it wouldn't work at all. So this should be an interesting one, and we're gonna save it for last. Now that we have an idea of what's wrong with all of these handheld PCs, let's start with number 1, trying to fix them. So for number 1, these little inserts need to go down into those little holes, but we need to find a way to attach them securely. I'm actually gonna be using JB Weld. All right, we don't need much of this stuff. So there is the hardener, and here is the quote-unquote steel. There we go. I am mixing this a little bit dark, but I want it a little bit dark since it's going into a dark hole. The plastic is dark too, so. Okay, so let's just try and add it to around the screw. Try not to get too much on the edge of it there. Okay, there we go. And this one, I'm actually going to get some of this plastic that's down inside this. There's little grooves in these inserts, so I'm going to get this broken plastic out of there. So then the JB Weld can get down in those grooves. That is looking good. Now let's see. I don't know if that's gonna work. Gotta push that down in there, and it is not wanting to go. This whole thing is sitting up too far. That's not gonna work if we can't get it down in there as far as it needs to go. Oh, we're getting it. We're getting it. There we go. Okay, that is much better. It's a lot more even. I think number 1 is going to be fixed, but we got to let this sit overnight and then we'll test it. Number 2 is the one with the line down the center of the screen. So the first thing I want to do is take this back off and see if there's anything that might be causing that. I'm assuming we're going to need a new screen for this, but let's just check it out to be sure. So there's one screen connector. Is that the only one on this thing? I don't even remember. Let's get the battery out and then we can get a better look at this board. Okay, there we go. There's the LCD connector there. I'm gonna get this fan removed. Actually, both of these fan removed so we can take that off. We're gonna have to do that anyways, assuming we have to replace this LCD. So let's pull those off, then we'll take a look and see what it looks like underneath. Now we'll remove the warranty sticker. Won't be needing that. And there we go. So here's one cable connector and there's one cable connector that looks like they're for the LCD. This is probably the backlight up here, which obviously isn't a problem. And I'm assuming this is for the actual LCD here. Yep, everything looks fine. So I'm gonna go with it's an LCD issue. Now, the one thing that really is cool about Asus that I've found with this is I actually can buy the front panel with LCD, which is great because there's not a lot of these out there for sale for parts or anything like that. So I actually bought a new one for $170. It should be here any day now, but it's not here yet. So let's move on to the next handheld while we wait for these parts. The next one is number 4, and we basically need to replace this thumbstick. That's all that it says is wrong, but after we get this replaced, let's turn it on and make sure it all works. I think we also need to put an SSD in this one. So now I'm gonna keep charging it while we're doing this just because it was pretty discharged. So I'm gonna keep it going until we get this back cover off anyway. Okay, the back cover's off. It actually does have the SSD in it, so I think that just means we need to reinstall Windows on this device. So that shouldn't be too difficult, hopefully. And let's see, this is the side we need to install the analog stick on. So I'm gonna disconnect that, but before I do too much, let's go ahead and disconnect the battery. There we go. All right, there we go. Yep, the module itself looks really good. I don't see any problems there, so I think we're okay. Where did I put that part? Here we go. So I did pull this analog stick cap from another broken one that I have sitting around, actually that I've never been able to fix so far. But you can get these other places. I'm assuming other places online, but Asus does sell these as well. Probably for a lot of money. I didn't look up the price, probably for too much money, but I mean, that's better than not providing parts at all. Okay, and there we go. All right, and with that back cover on, let's see if it will start up. Oh, right up. Cool. All right, and this one does start up, and we're at 24% battery. That's good. It's been slow charging, so that's all good. Next, I got to figure out how to load software onto this thing. I've not actually done that before, so I got to figure that out. But since we have to do it also on number 5, let's get that figured out and see how to do it and make sure these both work. So I've tried a number of things and nothing has worked. I've done the system diagnostics, not found any problems. I have disabled fast boot, still didn't work. I've gone to key management, and I think this must be part of it. Because if we go here, like we can't do anything. We can try and update the key and it'll just say it failed. We can try to delete the key and it'll say it failed. So I'm not sure what to do here. I'm gonna try replacing the SSD just to see if that happens to work, but I don't know if that's the right answer. Let me know in the comments what you think I can do to fix this. But right now, I don't have anything. So let's get this SSD replaced and see if that fixes it. And now with the back cover off, I'm going to, I don't know if I need to do this. I'm gonna disconnect the battery. Then we can remove the SSD and install a different one that I don't know for sure works. I think it does though. Okay, so that one's out. We'll install this one. There we go. Screw those back in. There we go. Now let's start it up and see if that did anything. You know, after I actually remember to plug the battery back in. Come on. There we go. Okay, battery is plugged in. Now let's try and start it up and see what it does. Still nothing. Okay, it does show charging now. There we go. Must have just had to take a second to reassess the battery after we plug it back in. Okay, here we go. Starting up. What are we going to get? Okay, good so far. Okay, and there we go. I'm going to get this one set up, but this one looks fixed. Let's move on to number 5, and I think this one might have the same problem. Secure boot, disabled. Now again, I don't know for sure that that's the problem, but that seems to be what the problem is on these. So, I mean, there's probably some way around it, probably some setting I'm not noticing, but I can't find anything. So let's replace the SSD on this one and see if that fixes number 5. All right, remove this one and install a good one. There we go. The other thing I should do at some point is just reinstall these ones that I'm taking out and just see if they came loose or something in there. So that always is a possibility. All right, now we will start up number 5 and see what happens. Oh yeah. These ones have a weird, after you unplug the battery, it's like they have to like think about it for a little bit. Okay, now we have a charge light. And it will start up now. Okay. And number 5 is also fixed. Now, this one does have some damage around the case. Somebody tried to like super glue it here, and right in the middle there is a crack right there. So this one definitely has a little bit of damage, but that's something I would just sell it as is and just make sure that the buyer knows about the super glue and the crack right here. Other than that, this one looks good. These SSDs that I'm putting in here, I'm pulling out of consoles that I have already here, junk ones, but they're only about 50 bucks if you need to buy them new. So number 5 is also fixed. Let's move on to number 6 and see what's going on with that one. Okay, and number 6 is the one that says default boot device missing or boot failed. Insert recovery media and hit any key. Okay, let's open the back of this thing up and see if we have an SSD installed in this one. And apparently we should be able to install the software maybe with USB. So let's open it up and see what's going on the inside. So this is actually the first time that I've opened one of these up, so this should be fun. No idea what to expect. I haven't looked up a teardown guide. I haven't seen photos of the inside, so this is always one of my favorite things, open up a new device for the very first time. So there's just those 6 screws. Is that it? Don't see, oh, we got an SD card in there. Okay. Don't see anything on the bottom. Is there any screws under these stickers? I don't feel any. Does it just pull up now? Doesn't really want to. There's got to be something I'm missing here. I don't know, maybe there's adhesive under here. Maybe just clips. Hopefully just clips that aren't too difficult to get off. There we go. Okay, we just got clips. Makes me a little nervous though, prying on this thing. Okay, all good so far. All right, and there we go. And here's the inside. Here's the SSD right here. So I actually decided to clone this drive since I had one laying around. I decided I might as well try that. So let's put the clone drive in and see if it works. And if not, we'll try and reinstall Windows onto it, but hopefully it will work now. I also cloned the drives for those ROG Allies, so we'll try those here in a minute and see if it worked for those as well. Let's see what we get. Okay, we got power. This does take a while to start up when you disconnect the battery, so it'll probably take a minute here. Okay, and still the exact same error. So we're gonna try and insert some recovery media. Inserted. I got a bad feeling about this. Oh, there we go. Okay. So it is nice that Lenovo has a section on their website where you can just download the software onto a bootable device, which I did, so maybe that'll work. I also did download it onto this SD card and it didn't work at all. So I don't know if that just doesn't work or if I did it wrong or what. Oh, okay, here we go. Okay, recovery environment initialization successfully. Okay, so it looks like this is gonna take a while. It may take a few hours, holy cow. So I'm gonna set this aside. Let's try one of the ROG Allies and see if that works with the cloned SSD. And here is the ROG Ally number 4. Let's get a cloned SSD into this thing and see if it'll work with that. We know it works with a working SSD, a new SSD, but let's see what happens with a cloned one. Charge cable in. There we go, got a charge indicator. And now it is powering on. Okay, here we go. Please wait, that's good. Recovery, looks like Windows didn't load correctly. See advanced options. Okay, let's try startup repair. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, we're just gonna try total reset. Okay, and it looks like it's working. Reset this PC, have it connected to internet. Let's do a reset, see what happens. While that's downloading, we have our Legion here. That looks like it's maybe trying to start up. That's weird that it's that orientation, but whatever. Windows is now setting up the following items. Okay, we're still doing setup. I'm gonna let this keep going and we'll come back once it's closer to being done or when it is done. And on the Ally, it is now done downloading and it is in the resetting process. The Legion has been starting and restarting and updating. I think it's still working how it's supposed to. It's been doing a lot of stuff though. Back to the administrator welcome. We'll give this a few more minutes and see if it actually starts up how it should. The Ally is at 40%. The Legion keeps sort of boot looping. Let's see what it goes into here. It came up and said Windows could not complete the installation. Let's see if it does that again. If it does, I think I'm just going to turn it off and turn it back on and see what happens. And that is what it was doing before. Okay, we're going to turn it off. Let's turn it on and see what happens. Your account has been disabled. Yeah, okay. Think there should be an administrator account even on this. So let's try restarting it. See what happens. Oh, and now we go, Windows cannot complete the installation. Oh, and the Ally is maybe starting up and installing. So it looks like ROG Ally number 4 is going to work great with the cloned SSD. I'm also going to do that for number 5, and that means we don't actually have to buy new SSDs for them. Let's see if we can get this Legion working. So I am reinstalling Windows on the Lenovo on number 6, and the parts have finally come in for this ROG Ally. So let's get this. Basically all of this stuff needs to go into the new front plate. I'll show you what I got. This is what came in the mail. So it is the entire front screen along with this whole front faceplate. So we need to swap all of these parts into here. All right, now with the board in, we can get these buttons on and then all the other pieces on. But of course, first, we need to apply the perfect amount of thermal paste. There we go. There we go. Now the SSD and then the battery. And before we start on the battery on this, it looks like that second installation of Windows was exactly what this Lenovo Legion needed. So number 6 is all fixed. Let's see if we can fix this ROG Ally, and then we've got the Steam Deck to look at. I don't even know, what does this even go to? What does that go to? Okay, we gotta figure that out first. Oh, it probably goes, does it go to the back cover? Yes. Okay, that goes on the back cover, so no worries there. And I think it goes on top of the battery. Okay, let's plug the speakers in first though. So that's done. All right, and now on top of there, down here. Okay, there we go. All right, plug the charge cable in, get the battery started. Assuming it works like that. Okay, battery charge light. Actually, we'll just leave it on. I don't know how charged this is. Now let's see if it'll turn on. Come on, this is like a brand new screen. This is like a brand new car, how they have all the crazy plastic everywhere. Okay, here we go. Let's see if it turns on. Okay. Maybe we need to charge it longer. I don't know, but that's not doing anything. It is currently charging at almost 3 amps, so it is fast charging. So we'll try and start this up here in a minute. And the power button probably won't work if you don't plug it into the motherboard. So I'm gonna do that and then we'll try and start it up again. All right, and now with that cable plugged back in, let's see if we can get this thing to start up. Okay, charge indicator. Now let's try the power button. That's what I'm talking about. And there we go. This one's all started up and looking great. I'm not gonna peel this all the way off, but let's take a quick look at that amazing brand spanking new screen. Looks so good. And now with number 2 all fixed up, we've only got one more to go, and that is number 8, the Steam Deck. Let's open it up and see what's going on. And here we are with number 8, the Steam Deck, and I think this is gonna be the most difficult repair out of all of them. This one I actually purchased from someone named Erin. She's a new mom who took on this project and tried to fix it, but unfortunately wasn't able to. So first of all, I have to say huge respect for even trying it. This is a pretty intense project, at least from what she said about it, and I have a lot of respect for anyone even trying this stuff. So let's see what's going on the inside. So right down here is the battery management chip, and that seems to have been where all the problems are on this Steam Deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this board because we're going to have to get a really good look at this and probably replace it with hot air. So I'm going to get this whole board out so we can get a better look at it and probably get that chip replaced. Now this should be interesting. Let's see if Erin applied the perfect amount of thermal paste. And I mean, pretty good, but I mean, I don't think that's the perfect amount. I do have to say though, that's pretty close. Now let's get this under the microscope and check it out. And here we are under the microscope. This is the battery management chip. We've got some major damage here. Can't tell if that guy's damaged. It might be. Maybe this guy as well. And I think the rest of these are okay. But this definitely worries me. So I think what we're gonna have to do here is remove this chip. Now Erin actually did send along more battery management chips, so that's gonna be nice. We've got a brand new one to install, but we need to remove this first. And also I wanna take a look and see what this is supposed to look like. So I have another Steam Deck here, and this is what that whole area should look like. So it looks like this pad probably has a problem and this pad right here. But we need to remove that chip so we can get a better look at it. So let's do that now, and then we'll check out the condition of those pads and see what it's going to take to fix. Okay, here we go. Let's get this chip removed, hopefully without damaging anything else. That is difficult to do. There we go. Okay, now we're going to come in and clean this area up so we can get a really good view of what's going on in here. So, as far as I can tell, we have 1, 2, 3 pads probably that are having a problem here. I need to get this solder blob off of here though so we can really see what's going on. So, gonna add some flux and use my soldering irons and some soldering wick to remove that blob. I got a lot of it. We have this pad, this pad, and this pad. These two pads go to the same plane, so we could attach these two pads together. This pad does not though. This pad goes right over here. So I think what I'm going to do is install a new chip, and then we're going to try and run traces from here to this pad, here to this pad, and here to this pad. This one, there might be enough pad there to actually make that work, especially if we kind of push the chip over this way just a little bit. So hopefully that'll actually work. We'll see. Yeah, so let's get that new chip installed and then we'll try and run the traces. So this is what we have to work with. We've got this pad, and this pad. These two pads need to connect to this pad. This pad needs to connect to this pad right here. This is going to be difficult. All right, I have a wire prepped. Let's see if we can do this. This is going to be very difficult. Very small, fine soldering. Right about there is what we need. Ooh. Okay. We just get that first try? There's no way that just happened. If I did just get it first try, that means that when I'm doing the other wire we need to solder, I'm gonna unwire this one on accident. That's just how these work. Okay. So actually, I think I do need to move this back a little bit because that's going to be in our way. But that, I can't believe that just happened. That worked really, really well. Okay, we've got our wire ready. Can we solder this down there without causing a problem? Needs to go about right there. Almost just burned my finger. Okay, we got that part of it. That's a lot of solder. Definitely don't need that much solder. I'm gonna get my big iron, come in here and try and soak some of that up. That's so much solder. Ah, I knew it. Man, we had it too. Okay. Now we just need to do all that again. Okay, let's clean that up and take a look. I think we actually have it. Okay, I'm gonna cut these wires off and then we're gonna get it back installed and see if we fixed it. Now it is possible that there's something else that's been burned out on this board with all the work that's been done by that chip down there. But I mean, everything looked pretty good, so I'm hopeful that there's no other damage. All right, now there is a light on. That's, I think, good news. Let's plug a charger in and see if it charges. And we're getting 0.3 amps. Let's see what happens when we press the power button. And nothing happens. Nothing at all. Oh, it turned off. It's charging at 0.3 amps. Okay, let's just hold the power button down and see what happens. Nothing happens. So it seems like it is just dead. Other than, I mean, it did show this light when I first looked at it. I didn't press any buttons for that light to come on though, so I'm not sure what that's about. Well, glad I didn't put all those screws in. So I'm gonna have to just take this thing back apart. Yeah, it's charging at 0.1 amps, which is basically nothing. Okay, let's take it back apart and have a look at it. And we do randomly keep getting the light to come on, but nothing else happens. I mean, that's good. Definitely warm spots on the board. So I'm wondering if maybe might need to take a look at those resistors down there and make sure those are okay, but just really not sure here. I feel like we double checked that all those lines are in the correct places for the chip. It is good news that we do get a white light at least. Let's see how much voltage is in the battery. 8.1 volts on a 7.7 volt battery. That should be plenty. That would be why it's not charging, most likely. It is possible maybe something burnt out on the screen or something, but the other thing is, as soon as I put this together, that white light was on and we didn't turn it on or anything, so I'm not sure what would cause that. Let's check these resistors and make sure they're still good. And just as I was about to test that, that little wire came loose, so I got to resolder that. Maybe that was loose. I mean, it looked pretty tight under the microscope, so I don't think that's the issue, but we definitely need to fix that. That's what I was afraid is gonna happen. Disconnected from the other place, and that's the harder place to get it connected to. Okay. Ah, there we go. Got it. Okay, now let's retest this thing. So I removed this board again so I could recheck this chip and all the components around it. And I did find one component that was shorted, and that was a resistor that was right here. It looks like that. This little guy right here. That resistor is shorted. Also though, and this is the part that kind of worries me a little bit more, is when I test each side of this, there's no short there, but that one does show a short. Now, I stole the resistor off of this donor board, And if we test the same area, no short there and no short there. So I'm a little worried about this. This component, this line right here, as far as I can tell from the data sheet, is like a data line. I don't know where it goes, but that kind of worries me because a lot of times I would think the data line might go to the main chip on the board. I'm not really sure, but I think what I'm gonna do is just install this capacitor and then see if it works. If it doesn't work, I don't think I'm going to do any more testing. I think I'm going to call it unfixable. So let's install it and see what happens. I'm going to hold it down with my tweezers while I solder it on, hopefully. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to put this motherboard in one last time and let's just see if it happens to work. I don't have high hopes, but let's try it out. All right, and here we go. I'm going to attach the battery, and I think this light up here is going to come on. For some reason, as soon as the battery is attached, this board thinks it's charging or turned on. I think charging, and I think that's part of the problem. I don't know what's causing it. Yep, the light is on, which is what I thought would probably happen. We didn't really change anything. Installing that resistor there, I don't think actually really did anything because that's not the real problem. Let's just try and power it on. Just for fun. Yep. And no power, just nothing works. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to fix number 8, but the good news is we fixed every other handheld PC today, so I call that a win. If you want to see a video of me trying to fix my very first ever Steam Deck, I'll put a link for that video up on your screen now, so you can come hang out with me over there and see if I can fix that one. Don't forget to check out FlexiSpot. I'll put a link right in the description that'll take you right there. Thanks so much for watching today, and I hope you have a good one.